minute, we're going to open the mic to the audience for questions. Tony will have a mic and he'll roam around. But while you guys are figuring out your questions and Tony gets the mic, I want to ask another question. I want to talk about the day after marriage equality. With the 2011 repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, organizations like OutServe and Service Members Legal Defense Network suffered severe inability to raise funds. This question's for the three executive directors. What are you doing to ensure that your organization will stay relevant and able to raise money after we obtain federal marriage equality? Nadine, I'd like you to go first.
Well, obviously, we organize in the South, and we began Equality Florida at a time when the state took a hard turn to the right. And while we've carved out some significant protections, more than half the state lives in areas where we have non-discrimination policies. More than 67% of students go to school where anti-bullying policies exist. We have a lot of work. We've got to pass these at the state level, and we understand how important Florida's electeds are in the national conversation. I actually think the question is, for us, it's not just once you get married, because we can have a situation where you get married, put your wedding picture on your desk, and get fired because there's no legal protection. So we've got a lot of work to do. But I think the question everyone in this movement has to ask is, how does your organization and your mission remain relevant? The Declaration of Independence talks about the pursuit of life, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we've spent a movement fighting for our lives, right? And we've spent this part of the movement sort of fighting for equality, a portion of liberty, but not the whole thing. And I think that the next wave is actually the pursuit of happiness. It should not be enough, it should not be sufficient to us to simply say we're here to make schools not beat you up. It's not sufficient to set the minimum bar that the law simply stop us from being harmed. We ought to be creating a society, a culture in which being part of the LGBT community is affirmed, is simply part of the fabric. So I think there's beyond the political work and the policy work, there's a lot of cultural work, and I think organizations will have to evolve, and the money comes because people see what you're doing and they think it's valuable. It doesn't come simply because of your brand and your name. They want to know, how is this going to make this world a better place than it is right now? And I had this experience that I haven't fully processed yet, but I went home and I talked to my 88-year-old cousin, who I call Aunt Clara. And she showed me this picture, and why she hasn't shown me this picture in the 48 years I've been alive, I don't know, but it was of my great-great-grandmother, who lived to be 107 and was 24 when emancipation came. And my cousin knew her and spoke to her and spent summers with her. And it just really messed up with my head, because what I realized was my cousin had the experience of speaking to a relative who had experienced slavery, and she also had the experience of voting for Barack Obama twice. And so the standard that we ought to put forward for our community isn't simply the end of legalized discrimination. It's about what Dr. King said, injecting a glorious new strain of love into the veins of society. We need to create a place where we are affirmed from the day we are born.